Elon Musk just delivered a major talk at the X Takeover 2025 event, and honestly, you should check out the full thing. It runs for just over an hour and is packed with fascinating insights. There's a link to the full talk in the description, but right now I want to zoom in on the parts that deal with Tesla's Optimus robot and how it could drastically reshape the company's future. Elon discussed the enormous potential of scaling up production of humanoid robots. Robots that are dexterous, useful, and getting smarter fast. He believes Optimus could become the biggest product in the world simply because the market for such robots might eventually reach 20, maybe even 50 billion units. That's a huge number. Now imagine this. Tesla reaches a point where it's manufacturing 1 billion Optimus units per year. At scale, the cost to produce each one might drop to around $3,000. Elon was clear that's just a rough estimate, but at that price, we're talking $30 trillion in annual revenue. Sounds crazy? Sure. But over the very long term, he thinks it's technically possible. That number's hard to wrap your head around. If you assume Tesla pulls in $10 trillion in profits from the hardware alone, the potential valuation of the company could be off the charts. And that's just the hardware. In reality, there's probably also going to be a software component, maybe a monthly subscription to operate your Optimus robot. That would mean recurring revenue on top of the initial sale. Let's take a conservative guess. Say Tesla earns another $10,000 per robot annually through software subscriptions. That means in the first year, each robot could generate $10,000 from the sale and another $10,000 from software. A total of $20,000 per unit in profit. Multiply that by 1 billion and, well, you see the scale of what we're talking about. Elon also gave updates on Optimus's progress. Version 3 of the robot is almost a complete overhaul from version 2. In fact, he said very little of the previous version remains. So Tesla is at a decision point. Should they make a few thousand units of the older version this year, or a smaller number of the much better version 3, then go full speed on scaling that in the coming year? To me, and probably to most people, the answer's obvious. Focus on the superior V3. It sounds like Tesla may end 2025 with a few hundred units of Optimus V3, but that's just the beginning. They're gearing up to scale production significantly after that. The broader implications of scaling up a robotic workforce are massive. Elon touched on how AI and robotics could completely transform the global economy. In a best-case scenario, the one Tesla is actively trying to bring about, there'll be no shortage of products or services. People will be able to access nearly anything they need, and productivity will skyrocket, potentially increasing the size of the economy by 10 times or more. Poverty, gone. We'll be living in an age of abundance. But with that abundance comes a very real problem. What happens to meaning and purpose in people's lives when robots can do everything better than us? Elon raised this concern, and it's worth thinking about. If work no longer gives people a sense of identity or purpose, what replaces it? And here's the uncomfortable part. This challenge will likely hit men harder than women. On average, most men tend to derive their sense of meaning from what they do, their jobs, careers, or missions. If that's taken away, many struggle. We've seen it happen before. Job loss, retirement, or disability can lead some men into a downward spiral. Women, on average, more often find fulfillment in other areas like family, and that may cushion the impact for them. This isn't a judgment. It's just something we need to be aware of as we enter this future. Everyone, regardless of gender, should be asking themselves now, where will I find purpose in a world where my job no longer defines me? Of course, Musk is optimistic about where this is all going. He believes that with the right safeguards and execution, AI and robotics will help humanity solve massive problems, maybe even cure every disease, and usher in an era of prosperity. But he also warned that we can't afford to be complacent. We have to stay sharp and focused to make sure we end up in the good version of the AI future, not the dystopian one. And from Tesla's point of view, between autonomous vehicles and Optimus, the opportunity is insane. Elon even mentioned Cathie Wood and ARK Invest, pointing out that their bold predictions in the past have proven correct, and he believes they're right again. Some analysts say Tesla could be worth $25 trillion in the future, and Elon doesn't think that's far-fetched if they execute well. So the trillion-dollar question is, can Tesla really pull it off? Do they have a track record of doing things people said were impossible? I'll let you answer that. If you haven't watched Elon's full talk at X Takeover 2025, do yourself a favor and check it out. Tons of insights beyond what we covered here. And before you go, one last reminder. Seriously think about what gives you meaning, because the world is changing faster than you think. Want more early content, extras, or perks? Hit the link in the pinned comment. Oh, and by the way, a G1. I've been taking it daily for over 3 years now. It's packed with vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, probiotics, prebiotics, basically everything your body needs. Helps with gut health, energy, stress, the works. It's become a core part of my routine. Click the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR to get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, 3 plus K2, and some travel packs with your first order. Let's take a step back and really think about what Elon is saying here. We're not just talking about better robots or new Tesla products. We're talking about a total transformation of how society works, how wealth is created, and how human beings live their lives. If Tesla can scale Optimus the way Elon envisions, producing 1 billion robots a year, it wouldn't just make Tesla the most valuable company on Earth. It could quite literally reshape the economy, labor markets, and the way we think about work and productivity. A humanoid robot that can do most jobs better, faster, and more safely than humans, that changes everything. We're talking about Optimus doing tasks from household chores, caregiving, and construction, to possibly even coding, surgery, or customer service in the future. If that becomes possible at scale, the very idea of jobs starts to shift. Entire industries could become automated, and millions of people might find that their work is no longer needed in the traditional sense. But this isn't just about cost-cutting or efficiency. Elon isn't trying to replace people. He's trying to build a future where no one has to do dangerous, repetitive, or soul-draining work just to survive. That's a big distinction. It's a world where robots do the work and people are free to spend their time on creative pursuits, relationships, learning, health, and personal growth. Sounds like utopia, right? But as Elon rightly pointed out, that vision also comes with a big psychological and emotional challenge. Because for most of human history, our identity and self-worth have been tied to what we do. Our jobs, our professions, our roles. Take that away too quickly, and you don't just get economic disruption, you get a crisis of purpose. That's why it's so important to start thinking now about how we define ourselves in the future. What will give your life meaning when your work no longer defines you? For some people, that might be art, philosophy, spirituality, raising a family, building communities, helping others. But the key is, you need to have an answer before the world forces the question on you. And if you're reading this and thinking, well, this is all far-off sci-fi talk, just remember, so was electric cars, reusable rockets, and humanoid robots not that long ago. And yet, here we are. Tesla has already pulled off things that most people thought were impossible. Gigafactories, mass-market EVs, full self-driving. Now they're working on mass-producing a robot that could do everything a human does and more. It sounds wild, but look at their track record. As Elon said in the talk, this future is technically possible. The only question is, will we execute? And he's right to bring up ARK Invest and Cathie Wood. They've been aggressive in their forecast before, and while people laughed, many of their calls turned out to be spot on. They're now projecting a possible $20 to $30 trillion valuation for Tesla if the company pulls off its AI and robotics roadmap. It sounds outrageous until you start doing the math. Just think about it. If you're making $10,000 to $20,000 profit on each robot and you're selling $1 billion a year, that's not science fiction economics anymore. That's a business bigger than the oil, tech, and automotive industries combined. And we haven't even talked about the ripple effects. If Optimus becomes cheap and widespread, it won't just affect Tesla's bottom line, it'll impact everything. Healthcare, construction, agriculture, manufacturing, even space exploration. Elon wants to take humans to Mars, right? Well, imagine sending a few thousand Optimus units to start building infrastructure there. The possibilities are endless, but none of this happens automatically. The right people have to build it, the right mindset has to guide it, and we all need to ask the deeper questions now, not later. We're on the edge of something truly historic. But the future won't just be about technology, it'll be about what we do with it and who we become in the process.